When you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. When you're in Myrtle Beach looking for the Italian restaurant of the year, you do as the Romans do. Find out what it's all about coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in the conference room at the Myrtle Beach Herald at 4806 Northgate Boulevard in Myrtle Beach, behind Myrtle Beach Lighting and Barn Hill Realty, off the Highway 17 bypass south. We're focused on Villa Romana, Italian restaurant, and we're visiting with its co-owner and executive chef, Rinaldo Montrosse.
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Rinaldo. I don't know if I'll ever absolutely get the pronunciation correct on your last name. Your wife does it very well, and I think you do it pretty well.
Yes, if I pronounce it in my Italian way, it would be Monterosso, but in English is Montrosse, which is very close. I guess a couple of hours were dropped along the line, but I love both names, so and I go with the English name, the American way. So.
The spelling is different in Italy.
Yeah, it's a slight different. Like I said, a couple of hours were dropped. I think one was changed and one was dropped, and kind of made the name a little shorter. And I'm not sure when that happened. Like I said, right along the line, a few years back,
yeah.
And just. To change, I would have to go through a long process, which I never went through that.
Sure. Well, we love it whatever way it is, and
yes.
I'm sure you've heard it pronounced lots of different ways. Your wife really gets it out well. I just love it rolling off her tongue. We were actually in your restaurant, a few weeks back, filming
yes.
there. Had a great week of filming, and,
yes.
and Fran, your co-owner, your
yes.
wife of many, many years, was with us.
She done very well. I was very pleased for her to get in. Have a little chat with you. I mean, everybody's in the restaurant, in front of the front part of the restaurant dining room knows my wife. Actually, they see her a lot more than they see me. So I was really happy that she was part of your show.
We were thrilled, but we had hoped originally to get you in, but even better, we were thrilled that Fran could be there.
Yeah.
But that's part of the reason I want to make sure we followed up. And of course, this week in particular, we have Brad Dean tomorrow. Our good friend
yes.
who's the president and CEO there at the Chamber of Commerce. Yesterday, Joe Fisher was with us. Lance Thompson was with us on Tuesday. And Jerry Fouts kicked off the week on Labor Day, which was great. So we've had I hope you had a great Labor Day celebration.
I did. We had a picnic at the house with quite a few people. Bianca was in town, so I mean...
great.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. Yes, I loved it. And it's one of those weekends where you stay busy all up to Sunday, and then Monday seems like all the guests leaves town, and we actually have a slow day. So those are the days I actually trying to take for myself.
Take some time for yourself, absolutely. You mentioned Bianca. Share with viewers, of course, viewers who weren't with us a few weeks ago to have a chance to meet Fran, your wife. Yeah. But Bianca was not with us. Share with viewers a little bit about your...
Well, Bianca, she of course, she went to local school throughout her elementary and middle school and high school, and then she went 2 years at Coastal. She transferred to the University of Sacramento in Colombia for 2 more years. She got an undergrad in psychology there, and then she moved to California for a graduate and a PhD, and actually she's presently working on her PhD in Greensboro, North Carolina. She's actually working for the University of North Carolina doing a research for the Department of Education, and she's also working on a dissertation. So hopefully all this will be over for her by the end of the year.
She'll be Dr. Montrosse.
Bianca Montrosse, yes, hopefully by before the end of the year, yes.
How exciting, Rinaldo. What is that like for your only child it seems like yesterday that she was visiting schools in North Carolina? And,
you have met her while she was still in high school.
I know, of course, I've known her forever, but to think about for you, I mean, to have known her literally forever.
She's done really, really well. I think she's very determined to be to do something with her life, and I think she loves what she's doing. So she's really in a field that she loves to do and to be part of it, into the research, which is part of the research and education actually. So she loves to do that, and I'm really thrilled that she's followed through and she didn't stop with her master, and she just kept on going, and finally, I think right now she's up to the end of that.
Is she a daddy's girl?
Yes, she is in a lot of ways. Of course, now she's a little bit older, so she's got a mind of her own. And,
Oh, yeah.
But of course, in every little thing that happens in her life, she's definitely calls me. I'm probably the first person she calls and let me know let me know what's going on. So in some ways she is, but she's very independent. She's been away from home now between California and North Carolina now for almost 8 years. So she's become very independent and doing things on her own. She's and, she. You know, if she gets in a bind, then she becomes daddy's girl.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's hilarious. Well, of course, Emma Clara was with us a little bit yesterday here for Joe Fisher. I'm sorry she couldn't be here this morning with you. She's going to come back and spend a little time with us tomorrow when Brad Dean's here to get a little idea of what goes on when we're here filming, whether here at the Herald or otherwise. Of course, you've got not only your baby girl, or who's no longer a baby girl, Bianca, but also brothers and sisters who are spread out both in Italy and here in the States.
Yes, and I have two sisters that still lives in Rome. Trying to visit them as often as I can, of course. When Mama was alive, and she's been gone now for 3 years, but when she was alive, we used to go over there and make plans to go and visit my sisters, and of course, 2 kids, 2 daughters, at least once a year. I'm not keeping up the tradition once a year, but it seems like I'm still doing it because I was there 2 years ago with, remember, with your mom and with your aunt and a group of customers. Were 26 of us.
26 customers, yeah.
we had a great time, but that year I was in Italy for 2 times, and I was there last Christmas. So I go back as often as I can, even though Mom is not here. You know, still have
Is it strange not traveling with Mama Lucia, with your mother, back to Rome?
Yeah, it is. In a lot of ways, it is. She was a good companion. She was, you know, I'm sure every kid will say that the mother is the best and greatest mothers of all. But she was a great woman. She was fun to be around with. She was a great chef, great cook. I mean, she can make anything out of anything. I mean, she can actually pick up dandelion and make the best soup, or mix it with pasta, make the best pasta. She can make dandelion with omelette, with dandelion, and make the best omelette you can think of it. So she could have done anything with anything and make a great meal.
Right.
Of course, it could have been maybe because the region she grew up in, which was a little town south of Rome, could have been also she went through the war, and when you go through a war, you have to go through, you have to kind of try to cook with whatever you have in front of you, whatever you can find. So it was a different reason why could have been she was a great chef, but I think she had also her heart into what she was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And that means a lot with everything you do. So
absolutely. She was an amazing woman, and of course the mother of many. And to think you've got 2 sisters in Rome.
2 sisters in Rome.
2 sisters here in Myrtle Beach.
And then there's my brother is also in Myrtle Beach. And he's at the restaurant pretty much every day. He doesn't do basically anything. He just he does little prep. He just kind of help me out. I mean, he sits at the house, he's bored, so he gets to the restaurant, he helps me out. Maybe if I need something, I ask him to do it. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything.
Sure.
He's a disability, so he doesn't have to do anything. He just, if he can, then he helps me out. Most of the time, he just sits down because he's got a problem with his legs.
Right.
So he's a great person for the phone rings, for him to answer the phone.
Oh, yeah.
But besides that, you know, he used to cook. He used to have his own restaurant, but
in West Virginia.
In West Virginia,
yes.
Princeton, West Virginia. So, but since he retired, he's pretty much off the kitchen, off the restaurant, and he's at the restaurant just to help. He's pretty much my PR. He's almost becoming what Mama used to do in the dining room, trying to talk to as many customers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Seeing Claudio is a wonderful thing, and of course, so many folks, if they don't know you, they'll see Claudio walking down there and say, "Oh, there's the owner." Yeah, I mean, they just don't know. They see.
Which is great. I don't have no grudges about that.
Absolutely, he is, and not that he would ever say that he is, but clearly he mentions your name all the time.
Family,
but he's a great representative for the Montrosse family.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a great personality. He's got the same personality as my mother. You know, of course, he could never dance like Mama, but he has a great personality.
Yes, yes. Just like Anna and Rosina, your two sisters who are here in the area. It's great to have them close at hand. And of course, your two sisters over there in Italy. It's amazing to think about such a big family. You had, I'm sorry to say, another sibling who...
she passed away a long time ago, back in 1980. So it's been a long time past.
So your mother had 7 children?
7 children, 5 girls and 2 boys.
That's amazing. Yeah, what was that like being there? And you were where in the pecking order, Rinaldo?
I was 5th in line. So,
is that right? So you more or less
the youngest of the brothers. So I
you got your share of the girls turning in on you,
Got my share, of course, my brother being older, guess I followed his footsteps a lot of times.
Yes.
And it was an interesting life, with 7 kids around the table, plus all the kids always bring friends. So Mom always had to cook for multitude of people besides just the kids.
Right.
It was always 13, 15 people around the table. So it was an interesting life, and.
That's fascinating.
It's a life,
well, of course, and your brother was here in the States when you came over, but you have a different connection to the United States. Is that correct? Another even deeper connection prior to your brother's arrival.
Well, actually, my brother was in the United States few weeks before I did. I actually arrived before I did, and he went to Michigan. And when I arrived in the United States, which I can never forget because it was on February 29th. That does not happen, only happens every 4 years.
Right, of course, that's right.
When I arrived in the United States, it was already Michigan, and it was a cultural shock for me. I moved from Rome, a city of, 5 million, 6 million people, to a little town in West Virginia, which was maybe about 2,500 it was not only a language shock for me, but it was also a cultural shock. I mean, it was definitely a life I was not used to it. And what's the most interesting thing of all of that is I went to see a baseball game. I think it was 2 days after I was in the United States, and my English was very, very poor, almost none actually.
Right.
And both my sister were there. My brother was already up in Michigan. And my brother already asked me about moving up to Michigan because it was much bigger town where he was at.
Right.
And when I went to the game, I said, I might have to take that offer going up to Michigan because there's something wrong with everybody near. And I look at my sister and I says, Rosina, is it some kind of a gum epidemic going on? Because everybody's got a swollen jaws. I did not realize that you're chewing tobacco and everybody had a swollen jaw, and I thought it was some kind of epidemic. I said, I definitely need to get out of here and go to Michigan. So
what a great story! I've never heard that.
So it was quite interesting. I had fun with the language. But you later
came back to West Virginia. You left Michigan and came back.
I lived in Michigan for a couple of years, and I went back to West Virginia.
That's where you met.
I met my wife friend up in Michigan. I was back then I was 18, and I used to play soccer once a week with a friend of mine. Was a Greek guy, and went to an indoor gym and play soccer. So one evening he took me to a Greek restaurant, and friend was working there. We met, and kind of interesting the way we met will be another story.
Oh, it's a great story. Fran shared it with us.
Oh, she did? Okay,
oh, yeah, yeah.
And it was quite interesting. And then, we started seeing each other, and we moved to West Virginia and lived there for a couple of months, or a couple of years actually.
Yeah.
And then we moved back to Michigan. Then we moved back to West Virginia and opened up my first restaurant in West Virginia.
Was it also called Villa Romana?
Actually, it was called Roma Pizzeria. That one. I used
Roma
to serve,
Pizzeria.
I used to serve sandwiches and pizzas and dinners. I was not as elaborate on dinners as I am now, but that was my first restaurant, and it was very interesting.
Did you always know that you were going to have a Villa Romana someday? I mean, that you were going to go, even whether in West Virginia or down here, that you were going to have something bigger than pizza Roma?
Back then I was in early 30s, late 20s, so my life yet was not quite the size.
Sure.
Did not know exactly where I was going. I know that when I was up in Michigan that my life was going to go towards the restaurant because I was also working a couple of restaurants while I was there. So I know my life was going to go back into the restaurant business.
Sure.
Even though I always wanted to do some kind of my schooling back in Rome was different. I took 2 years of electronic in college and electronic in college. So I want to do something different than just cooking. But for some reason, up in Michigan, I started working in a restaurant, and from that point on, I kind of stayed in the restaurant business.
Right. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Well, of course, thinking of your connections back in Rome and how they continue to meld with folks here in the States. As a matter of fact, there's a picture of you in our lobby. Not too many folks can claim to be on a picture of you in our lobby, but there's a gentleman holding a herald, Winston Hoy, who's holding a herald right there in the lobby, and his wife and a lot of folks surrounding you there in front of the Vatican, I believe. Rinaldo, share with viewers about, you mentioned 26 of your customers going.
26 they wanted to go, and actually they wanted to go back again. They wanted to go to Rome, and they started out with just 2 customers, and then 2 other customers overheard the conversation. It went from 2 to 4, and then to 6, and then by the time I got done, we were 26 of us. So
Unbelievable.
I became a travel agent for about 6 months because I booked the flight, I booked the motel, I booked the bus for 10 days.
Everything.
Restaurants.
All the restaurants.
We went to 2 different wineries while we were there. And what the most interesting thing of the trip was because my sisters there, they knew a bishop in Rome, and because of that, we were able to get a private audience with the Pope. So the group was not a one-on-one, but we were very close to him, and that was one of the highlight of the trip, that we were able to get the audience with the Pope. And the picture that you see in the front lobby was taken at the step of the St. Peter's Square, and right after the audience. So it was a hot day, and normally the audience is done inside a big hall. But because it was a beautiful day, so we decided to have the audience out in the open. So it was sitting right in front of the square, and all the pilgrims were sitting. I mean, they were actually standing up way away from him, right in the square. But anyway, they were all standing up in the square. Versus us being having the private audience, we're actually seated up to the basically left of the Pope. And
well, I've got to thank you all again for carrying the Herald over to Rome. I know you all were reading it ferociously over there, and I've seen area newspapers that'll, their subscribers will carry their papers and take pictures in front of the White House or Niagara Falls, but no one has ever seen 25 Myrtle Beach area residents holding a herald in front of the Vatican there. So thank you again.
We figure if we had to take a picture with the herald, it would probably make the paper. And that's
it definitely made it, and it made our lobby here. So thank you for that again, Rinaldo. And of course, my mother and my Aunt Molly had a wonderful trip there. And obviously, they're not in town this week, but they'll be watching this on the web here, CarolinaPeople.com. There's so many things, Rinaldo. If you weren't sitting here right now on a Thursday morning at 7 a.m., I assume, based off of your crazy late-night schedules, oftentimes you'd probably be sleeping. Thank you for getting up so early. But what's a typical day like for you? A lot of folks want to know. An executive chef and a co-owner, obviously, there of the restaurant with your wife. What is a typical day like for you? I mean, what is it like? I'm sure it's different in the summer than the winter. Let's say here, and if it was
It's quite different. Well, number one, we have to keep up with all the ordering. So a lot of the food, even though I have trucks that comes in on from different company, I look specifically for a specific type of food. And someday you can just buy from one company, so you have to diversify where you buy from several companies. So I have 3 companies that actually come in about 2 times a week, and they deliver 2 times a week. So basically it's almost 5 or 6 days delivery. But my producers actually deliver once a day. So every night before we leave, we have to make a list, or not a list, but actually we do make a list, but we go through and see what produce we need for the following day. It doesn't matter what it is; it could just be mushrooms or lettuce or broccoli wrap or whatever is necessary. Eggplant. We need to order, or we need to have a list made the night before I leave the building and or the restaurant, and then of course call it in. If it's on Sunday, I need to call in on Saturday night because They need to have the order before they open.
A lot of folks delivering 7 days a week.
A lot of some
Wow.
companies they do deliver
Oh,
7 days a week, and then but a typical day, normally on a busy day, I go in about 12 o'clock or noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm there 12 hours a day, 12 to 13 hours a day.
Wow.
Even though the restaurant closes at 10, we normally clean the kitchen. I always tell everybody I eat the same food as my customer do,
Right.
and I eat off the same dishes and so on. So I keep my kitchen spotless. After,
Oh, yeah.
You've been in there many times, and
Sure.
after 25 years, always trying to improve things. You know,
Oh, yeah.
whatever needs to be done in the kitchen. If I need to get a new refrigerator or need to add a refrigerator,
Right.
always looking for ways of improving the way the system is set
Both
up.
in the kitchen and in the body of the restaurant. They're in the
Yes.
heart of the restaurant. It's, I mean, just wonderful additions on a constant basis, whether working on the roof, working on adding the great air system. It was so much cool. I mean, so just wonderful.
Yes, always. Last summer, I realized that if you get a days that maybe 104, 105 degrees ID index, of course, then the dining will suffer
People
when we
keep
see the
opening and
100
closing the
customers.
door. Sure.
Exactly. When we have 100 customers, then you have a half food goes in from the kitchen to the dining room. They realize was a little problem with the air conditioner not being cooled down enough. So
Right.
this year we had the two wall unit, like they almost look like a European unit.
They are
where,
wonderful.
They are split unit, but they're very effective, and I don't have to run any ductwork, which means does not lose any heating or cooling because there's no ductwork involved.
It's magnificent, and everything in there. And of course, folks know the location there, 707 South Kings Highway, right between 7th and 8th Avenue South
That's
on
right.
Kings Highway,
On Kings Highway,
707
Myrtle
South
Beach, yeah.
Kings Highway. Just an easy location. Of course, we were talking about earlier before we started filming, our voting in the best of the year begins in 2 weeks. But obviously 04, 05, 06, and 07,
we've done
Italian
very great,
Restaurant of
yes.
the Year, which was a tremendous celebration there. You
Yeah,
helped kick it off.
I gotta thank to all my customers for that. Without them, I would not be able to be 4 years in a row Italian Restaurant of the Year. So I really gotta say a lot of thanks to them for helping me out on that. I have a lot of locals that follow me throughout the year. That's one reason why we take reservation even in the summer. Is because I want the local customer to be able to come into the restaurant regardless
Oh, yeah.
what time of the year, what time, what season in the year. Because summertime we get really busy, and without reservation, this summer we have quite a few problems where you cannot actually get into the restaurant. The restaurant
Oh,
is
yeah.
either
Packed.
booked up or a line at the door where we cannot seat any more customers.
Rinaldo.
But if they have reservation, then we do guarantee the seating. Sometime immediately, sometime I take a few minutes because maybe a table that we're going to use for them it might not be available yet because the customer
Sure.
is sitting there a little longer than what we expected. So, but
You know, Fran shared with us, not to cut you off, Rinaldo, Fran shared with us there was a time, of course, when you all met in Michigan, you moved to West Virginia, you moved back to Michigan for a little while, which I didn't know about, to possibly get in an environment more like her father, you know, in a manufacturing type environment or something. I was trying to think about, and then, of course, back to West Virginia before coming to Myrtle, but if you weren't the co-owner and the executive chef of Villa Romana Italian Restaurant, what do you think you'd be doing? Have you ever thought about where you'd be if you hadn't gotten into the...
Well, I always set my goals higher than probably everybody else. I'm willing to do anything, whatever is necessary in order to improve my life. So when I went to work, second time I went to Michigan, I worked in an assembly line. And doing the same job for 8 hours was not what my intention of doing the rest of my life. Of course, I would have improved myself. I would have probably became, I was already gone to school to become a committee man. I would probably move myself up to a foreman or so on, going to management. I wouldn't have sit there and just be a lineman, be in a line and do the same thing for 8 hours a day. But I thought it was monotony, and it was a little too monotony for me. I don't want to just sit there and wait for something to happen. I want things to happen a little quicker for me.
And it is shown, and you're doing it every day. I'm sorry we've run out of time. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, Rinaldo. Stay tuned to a little more Carolina people. To Rinaldo Montrosse, the co-owner and executive chef of Villa Romana Italian Restaurant, coming up next. You know, we could have spent 30 minutes here talking about the restaurant and their tremendous menu and everything associated with Villa Romana, but we ran out of time. We could have spent 30 minutes talking about the Eternal City and Rinaldo and Fran as the tour guides taking 26 of their customers over to Rome. We've run out of time. We could have spent 30 minutes talking about Rinaldo's amazing mother and brothers and sisters and everyone who helped make Villa Romana a reality, but we've run out of time. You need to take the time to go into this restaurant, 707 South Kings Highway, 843-448-4990. There's a reason they've won Italian Restaurant of the Year 4 years in a row. They got to get the vote out again this year. The 5th annual Best of the Year kicks off in 2 weeks. Take the time to go on in the 25th anniversary. If you can't get in the next 4 months, then make sure you make it in over the next 16 months because it's leading up to a very special silver anniversary, a real celebration. A lot of immediate family and external family that has enjoyed Villa Romana over the last 23, almost 24 years will be out there celebrating together. Rinaldo Montrosse, doing a tremendous job every day. Thanks for everything.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent.